I'm seeing a lot of strong opinions about the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. And I just gotta say, there's no pleasing you people. Let's get into it. So we're several days in since the Book of Boba Fett's first episode dropped, and you know what? I'm not going to worry about spoilers. First, if you're so worried about spoilers, why are you even watching a video about the episode? I mean, you can read the title, but seriously, there's really nothing that happened that could be considered a spoiler. No big reveals, huge twists, no revelations that would ruin your viewing experience. But you know what? Getting to my main point, I'm seeing a lot of nitpicky BS from people on the social medias complaining about the first episode. Nothing canon breaking, nothing big, just, nitpicky. It's just BS. They're applying a level of scrutiny, frankly, that the original trilogy would collapse under. I swear it comes down to just looking for a reason to complain. I really can't take those kinds of comments seriously. Now, there seems to be two schools of thought about Boba Fett. One is that he's the greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy and he's a great villain. And, the argument there is the show is nerfing him and Disneyfying him. The other side of the coin is... why are people so enthralled about Fett? He's got like 5 lines and, a few minutes worth of screen time in the movies. About 99% of what people believe about Boba Fett is based on their own personal headcanon. Based on nothing. So the fact that actual canon conflicts with that is kind of a them problem, There's two things at play here. First, there's this anti-Disney bias because of the sequels. That's kind of to be expected, but unfair. Disney deserves to be derided when they do bad, but then they should also deserve praise when they do good. By analogy, you don't train a dog by constantly beating it, no matter what it does. You have to reward it when it's done something good. If you can't do that, walk away. You don't deserve a dog. Second, there's this self-entitlement that seems to have permeated society as a whole. My feelings trump everything, My preconceived headcanon is the only right one. Look, there's something to be said for the fans really owning canon while the IP is, owned by the IP holder. But no one fan can dictate canon, not to any other, It's more of a zeitgeist kind of thing. So,
lighten up, Francis.
Then there's this feeling that people don't like the pacing. There's not enough, better pick up, etc. What the hell do you want? Do you want all 8 episodes in 40 minutes up front? Self-entitled much?
Don't care how, I want it now.
I don't know. There's only one response to that.
No! Can it, you nit!
This is the book of Boba Fett, right? How many books have you read where you read the prologue and the intro and you go, well, this is poor pacing. I wish there was more here. This better pick up. I mean, have you ever walked out of a movie after the intro credits and said, oh, ho hum, I'm not impressed? And another black pill straw man I want to piss on. No matter how much you like The Mandalorian and Boba Fett, it still leads to Jake Skywalker. No, it doesn't. This is a fictional world in an ongoing IP. Fiction gets retconned all the time. Some for better.
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father.
No, I am your father.
Some for worse.
Yes, I bet you have.
So if you think your fictional canon is immutable, I don't know how to help you.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
And that brings up the EU fanatics. Look, I'm sorry, but the EU was never canon. You can enjoy it. You can consider it your personal headcanon. But consider this question. Have you read absolutely every EU story ever written? You know, every comic, every novel, all the newspaper strips, all the RPG material. All of that is EU. And not all of it's compatible. Some of it's good, some of it not so much. For example, what happened to Bib Fortuna after the destruction of the Katana? If you say he blew up with the sail barge, I'd say absence of evidence is not evidence. And his appearance in the last episode of The Mandalorian is actually evidence to the contrary. Now, one could argue that it is compatible with the book Tales from Jabba's Palace, in which Fortuna used his personal skiff, and I like to think that it was the sail barge inspired mini rig, to return to the palace and take over. Fair enough. But he sure didn't look like a Bomar monk had extracted his brain and put it into a spider droid, so that part didn't happen. And that's a good thing. Mind the EU for good stuff, but leave out the stuff that's really, not so good. That's the good and sometimes annoying thing about fictional canon. It can be changed and retconned. I'm looking at you, sequel trilogy. But getting back to my point about did you read it all? There's a whole bunch of people out there who haven't read those books. They haven't read the comics, and they really don't have the kind of money it would take to invest in all of that. This is why I say if it's not on screen, it's not canon. It's a really good rule of thumb. Take, for example, that High Republic book that is a Walmart exclusive. There's a whole part of the world that doesn't even have access to it. So how can you call that canon? And there's a lot of EU books out there that are no longer in print. Hard for those to be considered canon. Again, you do you, and you enjoy your own headcanon. In mine, I have characters that me and my friends created for the role-playing game back in the day that are still having adventures contemporaneous with Din Djarin and Boba Fett. Okay, so rant over. Let's get to some things that I noticed from my first viewing of the show that I can tell from conversations on the interwebs that some people either missed or didn't fully grasp. The title of the episode, Stranger in a Strange Land. It's a direct quotation from the King James Bible, specifically Exodus chapter 2, verse 22. It's the story of Moses, and he killed an Egyptian to defend a Hebrew slave. He fled to the land of Midian, where he was taken in by a Midianite, and he married the man's daughter. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. Gershom means a sojourner there. So it seems some people are confused why this would apply to Boba Fett. He was on Tatooine. He knows Tatooine. He's been there for some amount of time. He was at Jabba's palace for some period prior to the events of Return of the Jedi. Some would even argue that it goes back to the scene in Episode 4 at Docking Bay 94. Another retcon, by the way. But if you want to be literal about it, okay. Boba Fett was born on Kamino. And he traveled around with his father until Jango was killed by Mace Windu on Geonosis. And somewhere along the way, Boba became a bounty hunter, which necessitated him becoming a galactic traveler. So he's not from Tatooine. He is a sojourner. But moreover, Boba Fett is a stranger to us. We are getting to know who Boba Fett is and was. We're getting a lot of the backstory we never got about this otherwise mysterious character. You may be one of those who thinks this isn't a good thing, that Boba Fett should remain a mystery. Fine. Don't watch the show. He'll remain a mystery for you. And not only are we being introduced to him, but he is redefining who he will be now. Being swallowed by and clawing your way out of a giant desert beast can really affect you. He's a stranger to himself, and he's going through a period of looking back on his life and making decisions about his future. In Hamlet, the undiscovered country is death, from whose bourne no traveler returns. Well, the future is a kind of undiscovered country too. And I suppose it's one from which no one ever returns. Except maybe Ezra Bridger. We'll see. Now, I have also heard complaints about him taking off his helmet. I see that issue as similar to people who think that he should remain mysterious and never developed. Same solution. But again, he is not the same character he was 5 years earlier. The role Boba Fett is assuming is different. A mysterious bounty hunter wears a helmet. He wants to protect a visage not dissimilar from Batman. Nobody really knows who he is, and that's off-putting, even scary. But a leader of an organization needs to be looked in the eye, particularly one that's going to foster respect. In this, it's like Superman, who once said the reason he doesn't wear a mask is because he wants people to know they can trust him. Well, I don't think Boba Fett is really concerned about trust, but certainly respect. People don't realize how much communication is done non-verbally. A smile, a sardonic grin, a furrowed brow, or a cold stare. A mask can only communicate one of these options, which is fine for a mysterious bounty hunter, but not for the leader of a syndicate. Bottom line, I like the first episode of Boba Fett. I like where it seems to be going, and I'm enjoying myself. Netter's enjoying it too. And being able to share something we both enjoy is golden. I'm not trying to convince anyone or anything, as if I could. Frankly, I have no stake in whether you watch the show or don't, or whether you like it or not. I just think people need to slow their roll and try to be fair. Be consistent in your judgment and not, frankly, hypocritical. And ultimately, don't be a dick. The world doesn't need any more of that right now. So, I hope you liked the video. If you did, leave me a thumbs up. If you didn't, feel free to rant in the comments. It's all engagement. Either way. Take care. Have a wonderful one. May the Force be with you.